Hello YouTube, this is Chuck again. Today I'm coming to you from the museum, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about the firefighter statue and the history behind that. I've got a camera operator working with me today, so that this should be a little bit handier than the way I usually do it. So the statue is to commemorate firefighters who've lost their lives in the line of duty in our area. They've all been wildland firefighters, and there's a plaque at the bottom of the statue, and we're going to come and we're going to tell you a little bit about that. So come on up here. The names on the statue, the first one is a fellow named Chuck Cochran. Chuck Cochran was a pilot of a retardant plane that died in 1961 on the Roberts fire. And he had engine trouble in his plane. His plane crashed about 15 miles east of town. The wreckage is actually still there. I've been into the wreckage site. And anyway, unfortunately, he was killed. Well, right after the Roberts fire in 1961 was another fire called the Hatchery fire. And during the Hatchery fire, we had a mid-air collision between a Forest Service observer plane and another air tanker. The air tanker was able to land, the observer plane went down and killed the pilot and the observer. And that would have been Corky Coates and Art Goodnow. And they were local residents. From there on, we went from 1961 up to 1989 before we had another fire fatality. And that was a member of a Zuni Indian crew by the name of Ernie Cancini. And Ernie was working on the Horton fire, which was right up on top of the rim above Horton Spring out near Coles Ranch. And he walked out to the edge of the rim and, believe it or not, got hit and struck by lightning and got killed. The next year was when we had the Dude fire. And the remaining 6 names on here were all part of a Perryville prison crew from the Arizona Department of Corrections that were on the fire. And the fire suffered what we call the plume collapse, and pushed the fire down a drainage at a speed faster than a man could run. And unfortunately, it overwhelmed and killed 6 firefighters. Sandra Bachman was actually a prison guard, and she was a crew supervisor, one of them. And the other 5 names on here were prison inmates from the Perryville crew. There's 2 since then that have happened. We had several years ago, we had a reserve firefighter from the Hell's Gate Fire District, which is just east of Payson. His name was Bobby Malari, and he had a heart attack and died during our annual wildland fire conditioning testing, called the PAC testing. He had a heart attack and died. There were 8 paramedics there. They were unable to save him. Whatever happened to him was catastrophic. And then just a couple years ago, we had another helicopter go down, and the pilot's name on that was Brian Boatman, and he was ferrying supplies into a fire in the Madazel Wilderness area with an old Vietnam War vintage Huey helicopter, and it suffered a mechanical problem, and it crashed and killed him. We're going to do something to add the names on here. We're not sure exactly what we're going to do. But that's the history behind the plaque. I'm going to come up and take the camera now and talk a little bit about the statue itself. The sun's right behind it, that's why I'm off at an angle. But the statue itself, the model for the statue was a local Payson hotshot by the name of Marty Rose. And they dressed him up in period correct costume and their period correct firefighting gear, I should say. And the sculptor took about 1,000 pictures of him from every angle imaginable and came up with this statue. And if you know Marty, and I've known Marty for years, is that this looks exactly like what he looked like back when this statue was done. So it sits out here in front of the museum. I'm going to be doing some more videos about various facets of the museum from time to time, but I figured this would be a good place to start. So I'm gonna let you go for today. As I always tell you, be good to each other, love each other. We'll catch you on the next video. And with that, I'll just say peace out.